Gün dolandı dalı taşı, dinmiyor gözümün yaşı. Gelin eyle tez günde ayırdı.
There's a long tradition in Russia to explore whitewater and rivers.
The first descent of the Bashkaus River was in 75. Half of the group died on the first rapid, and the next year the rest of the group returned to this canyon, and they built the monument for the friends, and they left the book. And now every group who is going to the lower canyon of the Bashkaus River write the names in this book.
Yattığın yer han olaydı. Ay, ay, ay.
Situated in southern Siberia are the Altai Mountains, a remote mountain range which borders with Kazakhstan and Mongolia. Russia is a country with almost no end, spanning 9 time zones, covering a ninth of the world's landmass, and also possessing over a quarter of the world's freshwater reserves. So there are no shortage of rivers, which is an allure to adventuring kayakers. This year our international team of whitewater kayakers travelled to Siberia in search of Basilevsky's elusive gold, and to explore the renowned whitewater in this part of the world. After 4 weeks, we returned to tell this story.
It's always a dream for myself to explore countries and learn about the culture and the different landscapes on Earth. The Altai Mountains is the highest mountain range in Siberia, and that offers a great potential for whitewater. And our goal was to paddle 4 weeks, all hard runs and hard rivers here in the Altai Mountains.
I'm traveling a lot around the world, and but I think that the Altai Mountains is one of the best places for kayaking. We got really high water this year in Altai, and I think it was really nice to paddle some really big rapids and huge waves. And of course the main reason of the trip, the main reason why we're here was to write our names on the history of Bashkaus River, of the lower gorge of the Bashkaus, which is pretty hard run.
Well, we got picked up by these vans who were going to be our trusty steeds for the duration of our trip, and on first sight of the vans I didn't really think too much. They looked like a pretty old sort of comma van or something from the 60s, but on closer inspection they're actually pretty well designed for what they did. They're 4x4 like mountain goat of a van, which could basically go anywhere.
This is my car. It's a 4-wheel drive Jeep. It's military Jeep, Russian military Jeep. No, is enough for our roads, for our bad roads, because easy repair. My friend, I am ready. Let's go to Altai Mountains.
This is the beginning of our first multi-day trips here in Altai Mountains. We have 2 rivers, Karagem, Argut, and around 100 kilometers of really good whitewater.
any time. All the boys are deadly quiet. There's silence in the camp.
It's our third day on the multi-day on the river Argut. It's quite a big river with huge holes, and we bombed into one of that holes with like 4 people. Fortunately, Philip bombed me out, unfortunately by hitting my head, and now I got a little cut left over my ear. And yeah, it bled like hell, but now I think it's okay.
Finally reached the takeout of our first multi-day trip here in Russia. We got to paddle 2 rivers, the Kayaking and the Argut River.
That was my first multi-day, about 4 days, and it's kind of crazy to be somewhere out there, nobody around, no animals, no nothing, no streets. You can't walk out in a big canyon.
We had a good group together, and it was definitely the biggest water I've ever paddled till now, and it was very thrilling and committing. We unfortunately we found a dead rafter on one of those big rapids, and that was quite a shock at the first time. But then we just kept on going.
It was pretty sobering sight really, and sort of brought home the reality that we are practicing our sport in a pretty unforgiving medium, and if you do stuff up or end up swimming, you could end up like him. So I think it was a few of the boys were a little bit spooked, and we definitely sort of took our time after that.
tomorrow morning we start our last multi-day trip here in Altai Mountains. The lower canyon of the Bashkaus is about 60 kilometers long with a lot of class 5 rapids, and in the middle of the gorge is a book of the legends, and this is our goal to write our names on the history of this book, of the history of this river. So hopefully we can make it, and it's gonna be hard, but I think everyone will survive.
So we set off on the Bashkaus River, just like Basilewski did 35 years earlier. And only a few kilometres into the river, we came around the corner and found a pretty shocking scene.
So we're just on our fourth river in Russia, and we've just come across our second body of the trip. It looks pretty old, and it makes you a little bit scared of what's down below. Hopefully we don't end up looking like this guy.
It was a daunting discovery, but there was nothing we could do except notify authorities once we made it out of the river. So we jumped back in our boats and headed on downstream.
I don't know what the definition of a legend is, but I would say it's something along the lines of carrying on a story or living after death almost. So these guys were legends who pioneered the river, and to write our name in that book was a pretty proud moment for everyone on the trip, and it was a cool thing to do. It was cool to read some of the old entries into the Book of Legends as well, and it's amazing they go back to before I was born. I mean, quite a bit before I was born. It's kind of a legacy of whitewater here, and the actual trip was pretty difficult. We had quite a bit of rain and we had a pretty high river. I can see how in 1975 those guys would have come into a lot of trouble paddling that section of whitewater.
This is the story of the man who tried to do the first descent of the Bashkaus, of the lower gorge, and he died on this rapid. He was kind of the famous person in Russian tourism, and this is his story of his life.
just reached the campground after the first day on the Bashkaus. We signed the book after the first canyon. It's typical style when we set up the camp to start raining here. But spirits are high, I guess. It's a pretty grunty river to say the least, and we're all hoping that it doesn't come up too much overnight with the extra rain.
In 2007 I lost my friend on the Bashkaus River, and this time for me was the first time I paddled the Bashkaus again, and I don't want to say that I was scared, but of course I was pretty nervous in some parts of the river, and yeah, it's kind of a good feeling to come back. And yeah, I was just happy to be on the Bashkaus and see this place again. Bashkaus is sweet as always. Every time when I paddle this river, I feel so small in this gorge, and yeah, I think we had a perfect water level, and we ran all the rapids on this river, and Yeah, I'm pretty happy to be here, and it's just so beautiful and so good white water.